You've probably heard about the game Doki Literature Club if you decide to click on this video. If you haven't, I'll give you a brief rundown.
Skip. But when does this game get fucking good?
Doki Literature Club is a game where your attempts at romancing various girls are thwarted by the immediate cashing of their ticket to heaven after your confession of love to them. I'm not joking here, but they actually all immediately off themselves. We're explaining why it's too long and not why I'm here. Because if you couldn't handle the thoughts of these amazingly hot girls dying, then boy do I have a treat for you. Or maybe, as you'll see, something that becomes a curse. How do I even begin to talk about this mod? I guess a good place to start is the Reddit post that leads to the mod download. Looking over it, it gives a good indication of how the author views their creation. It claims that the mod is a psychological, realistic, choice-heavy take on the mod of DDLC, with an emphasis on world building. Side note, after playing this mod, I can dispute some of this, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Fully fledged routes spanning over 6 months in game time for Sayori, Yuri, and Natsuki. With the whole mod totaling 500,000 words, this is the longest DDLC mod to date. Multiple endings for each Doki. Tread lightly, as your actions have consequences. Hentai scenes for Sayori and Yuri. Okay, mate.
I know what kind of man you are.
On the surface, this seems like an actually impressive creation, right? A lot of effort has been put into this with a whole custom soundtrack and original artwork and all the decisions she needs to make. However, as we actually play the game, this route was the first route I played for the video and is by far the most normal one. It's also the one I suggest you start with if you intend to play this utter bullshit, so I'm getting ahead of myself again. The first thing I noticed is that the MC is playing weird in this mod. Not like perverse or anything, but outright badly written. The first act of the game has been rewritten so that the MC knows exactly what to say to each of the other characters' lines, which is fucking stupid. And it makes me begin to feel like he has become a self-insert with the amount of attempts at wit that has been inserted. The Natsuki route follows Act 1 normally, but the festival actually happens instead of Sayori offering herself. It plays out and goes poorly, which is sort of good because it allows the main cast to remain the focus instead of these new characters to have Habsburg jaws. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the side characters. They don't matter. Moving on. This route is you getting closer to Natsuki and then becoming a couple. Over text, which is stupid, but whatever. At this point, there have been a few choices like sitting with Sayori at the lunch, take Sayori to lunch. Okay, this all further clear preference. Foreshadowing. No major decisions have happened yet, though. It all comes to a climax, sort of. It's really fucking stupid plot point, okay? The MC invites Sayori to join in on his date with Natsuki, which is about the 3rd time this character has been inserted into a relationship. Natsuki gets pissed, and there's the decision to apologize or not to apologize. I chose apologize, which is actually relevant, but there's only 2 choices left on the run. It all has to do with her abuse she receives from her father. I'm not trying to imply sexual, I just didn't know how to put it. Really leaning into the whole psychological aspect of the game, huh? I say leaning, but it's more like a whole act dedicated to her being abused and the MC being there for her and insisting she goes to the police. This all leads to the final 2 choices of this route. Whether to give her the money, whether to persist, and whether to let it go. If you don't give her the money, persist, and don't let it go, you get a good ending where you live happily ever after. We don't speak of the bad ending. This route was my second one because I wanted to see how differently the writer would write a character that engages in coitus compared to one that doesn't, being Natsuki. Yuri's a mess in this route. I mean, any depth of character has been completely stripped from her. Foreshadowing. And in lieu of a compelling character lies a half-shy, half-assertive belligerent. If I wanted to see such a character, I would have just watched Inspector Calls. Bar that, this route was one of the ones I enjoyed the least. The deep mental health aspect is just a continuation of the original game's assigned issue, being self-harm. Let me iterate, my issue isn't with presenting mental health issues, it's just how half-baked it is. Throughout this route too, there's the same issue as the Natsuki route. Sayori is being inserted into the story again. It's like, for God's sakes, man. why even bother writing these other routes if you're going to try and make me feel like a dick for not romancing one of the other characters? Back to the plot of this route. It's basically just making sure Yuri becomes more independent and supporting her throughout her mental health journey that MC so eloquently inserts himself into. Then, because this route isn't already bad enough, they throw in a sex scene halfway in because the author's so lazy, the only way he can invest the audience is by blatant fan service. Well, sorry, but giving the reader semi over your poorly written smut isn't a compelling narrative. The later justification is that she felt forced to as part of the relationship, which isn't necessarily an awful justification. It's just clearly thrown in because it's hard to justify adding in the sex scene. If you're wondering why I'm not really putting in the effort into explaining the endings, it's because they're all shit. This route was my final point and led me to my breaking point. It's actually a pretty good reflection of the mod as a whole. It's a load of shit! Sayori's route dives into her depression and really explores how difficult it is to support someone struggling with it and— oh wait! No it fucking doesn't! She cries, says that she feels worthless, and goes to therapy off screen! You can't actually make that shit up. That's not my main gripe. In fact, the depression being handled that way isn't exactly awful. I just am really tired of the bad writing from this author at this point. My main gripe is how she's written here. Let's go over Sayori's character real quick. She's bubbly and cheery as a facade, and she actually struggles with depression. She acts childish and clumsy, but has more mature reasoning and with some of the things she says in the original game. All of which is fairly interesting and makes an arguably compelling character. What do you mean they threw all of this out so the author could write a sex scene for her later? There's no way, for fuck's sake. Yeah, the childhood friend that the MC has known since she was a child. Yeah, they do it, yeah. It doesn't even make sense for a character. It takes place at the end of the mod. I fucking hate it. I don't even have words. The game pretty much ends after that. What's the point? What's the fucking point? What's the point of any of this bullshit? Redditors! They only care about cracking Dokis. They're losers! This mod is stupid for a few reasons. It's so much fucking filler. Holy shit, this was unbearable to play. I'm a fast reader, and this was getting unbearable by the end. You can't just add a bunch of unnecessary, two-dimensional world building with no real impact on the plot at large and claim you have some in-depth story, because what we actually end up with is a bloated, Rat King type of story that fails to deliver a compelling narrative. All the girls have been gone and adopted their archetype so heavily, their original characters have been lost. Natsuki is a tsundere in the worst way. Yuri is so meek, I actually began to think the author has a fetish with lauding confidence over insecure women. Sayori is so childish, it makes all the sex scenes feel wrong. All the hentai scenes feel wrong and weird because they are unnatural and don't fit the characters, not mindless fanservice. What bullshit! The author's writing for all the routes is just the girls expressing an issue they have, the MC acting like some white knight to save them all, so just being present and supportive, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get the opportunity to crack them, but not even a goddamn point. The only things I truly respect out of the mod is the abundance of original material in the form of the soundtrack and art. Even though the soundtrack uses the motif from the original game pretty heavily, even with the Habsburg Jaw-esque, even with the Habsburg Jaw-esque characters, it's still impressive, but your writing's dog shit. Sorry. Actually, no. Fuck you, seriously. You threw in so many stupid reference sex jokes that you took the time to research Japanese culture to try and be accurate. Naming random Japanese dishes isn't immersive, idiot. Go solid.